I'll close with this light rant because we hit all our questions. We've been subject to such bad GM work, Idzik to McCagnon to Douglas, that I'm much more confident, like every Jet fan, in Glenn than I am in Muji. Muji's young. He has to prove himself. He has no connections really throughout the league yet, not at the level you want to have. I think we were with, I mean, you didn't have enough time to be patient with Idzik, but with McCagnon and Douglas, I think we were quite patient before it was enough already. And we will be equally patient with Muji. Now, the structure is different. The Jets have long been, or at least under McCagnon and Douglas, were GM first organizations. They're now a head coach first organization. Now, what that means in practice and who gets credit for what and how it translates to the field, that remains to be seen over the next few years. But, I'm just fascinated to see what kind of GM this ends up being. I think there's been some minor moves this year. He's young. He's going to work himself into the role, I think, to an extent. You try to take confidence from a guy like Spielman being around.
Right.
And the process that they work through and his background and Glenn having confidence in him. But I'm not going to judge anything on this offseason because it was we went all in Last Dance Jets for 2 years, and now we're sort of picking up the pieces and cleaning it up. I just cannot be subject to another Joe Douglas, Mike McCagnon, John Idzik level GM. Because Tannenbaum, again, for all his flaws, and he was very uneven, he made a lot of mistakes towards the end, as all GMs ultimately do. That's how these things end. Either you win a Super Bowl or you get fired. Was a winning GM and was consistently in the playoffs. And prior to him, Bradway was a bad GM ultimately, but did make the playoffs a couple of times. And prior to him, Parcells was really good at his job for the brief period he was here. So they're due to have a guy that can figure it out. And look, we just don't know, but that's just me, a long-winded way of saying I can't believe the Jets had Mike McCagnon for as long as they did and had Joe Douglas for as long as they did. You're talking like 11 years between those two guys. Yeah. It's like insane. Insane.
It's totally insane. And the fact that, they had so many swings to fix the most obvious, and they both really couldn't do the same thing. They both couldn't build an offensive line, and they both couldn't get quarterback right. And some of it, too, is the way you miss, right? Where McCagnon felt like the effort on the offensive line was just poor. Douglas knew how important the offensive line was. He just missed a lot and let things spiral. And at the end of the day, he might have contributed to it turning around because the Simpson signing looks good. We think Tippmann's going to be solid, although the Jets